Hello, my beautiful Virgos, and welcome back to New Hope Tarot. We're going to be doing your reading for the first half of February. For this reading, we're going to be using 2 tarot decks and 2 oracle decks. I've already meditated upon the cards and I have pre-shuffled, but as always, I shuffle live. And while I begin the shuffling, I just want to remind everybody to like, share, subscribe, and comment. I truly appreciate it. And don't forget to hit that little bell so that you're able to get notified once a new video does get released. What is it that you want Virgo to know for the first half of February? My God, my angels, my universe. What is it that you want Virgo to know for the first half of February? My God, my angels, my universe. What is it that you want Virgo to know for the first half of, okay, compassion. Right off the bat, I'm getting the feeling that you need to be more compassionate with yourself. I don't feel like this is really in regards to other people. I mean, that's definitely a possibility, but I feel like for the majority of you, I feel like it's like you have to have self-compassion. Being gentle with yourself is what I'm getting. That's the sense, the energy that I'm getting with this card. Okay. Heard. May your brave call be carried on the wind. Yeah. I feel like a lot of you have something to say and you don't feel heard. And maybe you don't feel heard because you're not being vocal. I'm seeing the throat chakra needs to be worked on. But let's find out what the tarot has to say. Okay, 9 of Wands, 9 of Cups, and the Chariot in reverse. All cards came out at the same time. So let's take a look at what's going on here. So immediately I get the sense that once you say something, it's just going to go bleh. It's like a word vomit. You're just going to say everything all at once you get your courage to speak up. But Let's take a look at the cards first and verify just to be on the safe side, all right? So as I'm looking at the cards as a whole, the 9 of Wands, the 9 of Cups, and the Chariot in reverse, I definitely feel like this is compassion toward yourself. And with this Heard card, I feel like, as I mentioned previously, that, I'm sorry, I have something stuck to me. That was bothering me. I feel as if there's something that you're not vocalizing that you need to say, but you're kind of holding it in. And these tarot cards excuse me, have confirmed it. I feel in reading all of this card, I feel that in order to heal, you need to recognize your hurt, whatever that hurt is, recognize it, admit it, be vocal about it to others or in writing. You don't have to talk to other people if you don't feel like it. If it's something you're very much ashamed of, or whatever that looks like for you, right? Or even if you just don't want to confront it to somebody else at first. Maybe you just kind of want to release it little by little. You can write it down, then burn it up, shred it, crumble it, and toss it away, whatever works for you. Then have compassion towards yourself for holding on to the hurt for as long as you did, or forgive yourself for that, because the point is that you're letting it go. Then also forgive those that did hurt you. I'm not saying forget. That's a huge difference, right? You don't have to forget it. I'm not saying you have to trust the person. I'm not saying that. I'm saying forgive them. That, we all have our issues. I don't know what they did. I don't know what the circumstance is. But holding on to resentment towards either yourself or the person can only harden your heart and the way you view life, okay? So you're forgiving for yourself, not necessarily for that person, okay? The 9 of Wands here, I feel as if many of you are already, have already placed your burdens down and recognize them, or are about to place your burdens down and learn and grow from it. Because I feel like, and I feel like some of you still don't know what those burdens are. Like, that there's a heaviness there, but you don't recognize what that is. You don't know what weight you're carrying. But for the majority of you, you do know what this is. The 9 of Cups, I feel that once you do lay your burdens down, I feel you're going to feel much lighter, and you're going to feel more self-fulfilled for doing so. It's like you're giving yourself a high five, like a huge pat on the back, like, yeah, I did that. That was a lot of hard work. And it is. I am going to precaution you, though. There is going to be somebody that's going to look at you like, really? Was that really necessary to even bring up? That happened so long ago. You know what? Forget that person. Who cares? The Chariot in reverse, I feel with this particular card, be sure you have tended to all of the repressed emotions or feelings or hurt or whatever is repressed, whatever repressed issue you might have, so that you don't have to get stuck again. All right. And for those who don't know what it is, be careful of getting stuck in these repressed emotions. You know that you're carrying something, you just don't know how to get there. And with this 9 of Cups, I feel like somebody's probably in your ear and like, oh, you gotta let it go, right? And sometimes when you're so badly hurt, specifically when it's repressed and you don't really recognize it until much, much later, it's hard to let go. Like, oh yeah, like it didn't happen. No, it does need to happen, and your soul needs to heal from that. This isn't about anybody else. This is about your soul. This is about your own self-healing. It's not about anybody else. This is about you, and you have the right for that. All right, and let's go ahead and get some clarifications on the 9 of Wands here. That flew out. The 6 of Cups. Yeah, harmony. I love this. So once you once you recognize it, you're going to make peace with it, right? You're going to, whenever you do lay your burdens down or you recognize what those are and you're ready, you're going to make peace with these emotions and with what happened. Again, I'm not stating that it was okay for whatever to have happened. I'm not stating that. What I'm saying is that you're making peace with it, okay? It's like, and this is going to be a really mundane example and nowhere near as deep. But I'm just hoping to say this so that it grabs your attention. It's like, your sibling washes your clothes, or they tear your clothes, let's just say, and it was your favorite shirt, right? And now there's this huge tear, and it's and like you made this big deal about it, and it hurt you so badly internally. But although at that point you might have been like, oh, it's fine, whatever, it's just a shirt, I'll go get something else. But then after you say that, you kind of recognize, oh gosh, that was my favorite shirt. And then you remember all the memories that are attached to that. It's like, oh, when, I was out on this date, I have this memory. Or when, grandpa passed, I have this memory attached to this, or whatever that looks like. You have emotions attached to it. And then you, more and more emotions get attached to it. And then all of a sudden, a tear is not just a tear. It becomes heavier on you because it's more than a tear. And you want to tell your sibling, 20 years later, you know what, that shirt that you ruined, I know that I said it wasn't that big of a deal, but I feel this way about it. And I had resentment because, every Christmas or whatever, maybe you brought it up, or maybe you never brought it up, but you kept looking at your sibling and you're like, oh, you're such a jerk for tearing my shirt, or whatever, right? It's a stupid example, but you get the gist. And then you finally bring it up and your sibling's like, are you joking me right now? Like, that happened 20 years ago. Get over it. But to you, it's a fresh wound. It's an absolute fresh wound, and that's certainly not how you would want them to respond. You would want them to respond like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize it meant that much to you, right? But not everybody's going to respond to you that way. So be prepared for that in case you are going to be vocal about it with other people, all right? Because, again, you have to forgive, but don't forget. And just because you bring it up doesn't mean that they're going to receive it well. All right. And again, these are suggestions. These are advice. This is not anything that you need to do. This, you have free will. You can do whatever makes you happy. All right. We're going to verify the 9 of Cups. Yeah. Justice. And the Hangman in reverse. Yeah, you're moving on. Yeah, you're no longer just hanging there, thinking about it, worried about it. You've already reached your enlightenment. You're already moving forward. You've already hit the point where you're like, yeah, that's okay. I'm ready to move forward. And with this Justice card, again, balance, harmony. So we got the 6 of Cups with balance. We have the Justice card, again, balance, the truth. You have to speak the truth, right? Yeah, be heard, right? I love this. And the Hangman. Sometimes you also have to, sometimes you have to surrender to the fact that whatever you're going to say might not be received, all right, the way that you want to. So, that's just the reality of it, unfortunately. Yeah, that's what I'm getting here for that. And then for the Chariot in reverse, we have the 8 of Swords. Be careful of feeling trapped. And this card actually came out sideways because it flew out. But it came out sideways, so I'm going to give you both versions. If you still haven't approached, or confronted this hurt and don't recognize what this is, and you're still holding on to resentment, even if you do recognize it and you're holding on to resentment, it's going to prevent you from moving forward, and it's going to cause a lot of friction in your life. Okay. But if you do forgive, then it's going to be the opposite, right? You're going to have the ability to have freed yourself from a situation that no longer holds you ransom. Because I feel like this, whatever this is, I don't know what this is, whatever this is was, I don't know if some of you have gone to a therapy session lately and then all of a sudden this has bubbled up, or you were in a deep conversation with somebody and then all of a sudden this came up out of nowhere, or you were watching a movie and it hit you a certain way that you weren't anticipating, that it triggered something deep inside and you're like, whoa, what is that? Where did that come from? And then after much consideration and deep diving, you're like, oh, that's right, that happened. But you repressed it so deep down, because that's what we do in order to protect ourselves. All that hurt we push down. And is it childish? Yes, but when we're children or when we're hurt, we behave as such. And that's not a dig, that's reality. We go into protection mode, and our jobs at that point when we're hurt, we protect ourselves, right? Because we're not equipped properly to really handle those situations at that time. It isn't until later when we get perspective that we're like, oh, that happened. I should probably approach this now. I should probably, talk about this now. I should probably handle this situation at this point. Spirit is telling me to give an example. So for example, let's say you're driving a car, right? But you get there's an accident ahead, or somebody presses on the brakes and you don't know, you freak out, right? And some people just let go of the wheel. They freak out. They don't know what to do. Some people slam on the brakes, which is actually worse. And they all of a sudden they slide and they ram into the back of somebody's car. Some people turn and they sideswipe somebody, right? Because we're not prepared for how to handle that situation. Yes, we could read about it. Yes. In black and white, we can certainly read about it. We can Google it. We can do whatever. But until we're in that situation, we don't know how we're actually going to react, versus somebody who does this for a living, right? So let's say a stunt actor, right? So there's somebody who does these accident things. They handle vehicles consistently, or race car drivers or something to that extent, where they know how to really handle a car, and they have been properly trained how to handle a situation like that should it come up, right? So because they do it again and again and again and again. But because we're not equipped like that, what we do is that we let go. We go, oh no, and we freak out, right? Because we're not stunt drivers. We don't know, right? So that's thank you, my spirits. That's what I want you to be compassionate about with yourselves. Be compassionate with yourself that you didn't know how to handle this situation. You didn't know. And, whether you were holding resentment or not, that's a completely different story. If you didn't know, chances are you probably weren't holding resentment, but if you were holding resentment, still allow yourself some compassion. You didn't know how to handle that, but now that you do, you now know what the steps you need to take to move forward. Write it down. You don't have to talk to the individual or the person or whatever. Or, if it was a situation and, there's no way of getting a hold of the people, be vocal about it. Tell somebody about it that you truly trust, that aren't going to share the information, or speak with a therapist, or write the information down. It's very, very cathartic. It's so wonderful to write it down and then tear those pieces up and get, because when you're writing, you really aren't thinking. You're just writing it down, and like your emotions are just going to flow out of you, because the words are going to go and you're not even thinking. The words are just going. And by the time you wrote it, by the time you're done writing it, you're not even going to know what you wrote. And it doesn't matter, because your emotions are out, and you've probably said like 5 million FUs in this letter, and it doesn't matter because it's out. And then you torch the sucker up, the little paper, not the person. Don't torch people. That's not okay. Yeah, you torch the paper up, and make sure you're near water. Be safe, people. Please, for the love of Peter and Paul, I don't need anybody calling me up. It's like, you told me this. You told me to set this thing ablaze, and I did, and my house burned down. Like, no, I didn't tell you to do that. Make sure you're near water. Do it in a sink or in a bathtub. Near a toilet, whatever. Okay. I was about to say near a lake, but I don't want you to start any forest fires, so I'm not saying that. Just get near water, right? The best place is to do it like in a sink. Set it on fire. If you don't feel safe doing that, tear it up. That also feels cathartic. Just tearing and saying another 10 million FUs. I feel like this and blah, blah, blah. And you know what? That's fine. And believe me, you're going to feel better. And if that means that you have to do that 10 times over or 100 times over, and that allows the emotions to get out a little bit at a time, then that's what you do, my dear Virgo. Whatever it is you need to do to let go of resentment, to let go of hurt, and feel heard, and lay your burdens down, that is exactly what you do. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck. And we don't want you stuck. We want you to move forward, right? I don't care if you move forward slowly, as long as you're moving forward, okay? All right, my dear Virgos, that was your reading for the first half of February. Until we meet again, bye.